Hello, this is Ginger Sugarbush 905. Today, we're going to learn about Tunguska. When I first learned about the flat Earth, I looked into all different things, including the concave Earth. That's where I first found this video. At the time, I could not wrap my head around a firmament, and I didn't really agree with the concave Earth. So I forgot about this video until now. Let's watch.
Tunguska, July 30th, 1908. In a remote area of Siberia, the morning calm was rocked by an explosion. The powerful blast was heard 1,000 miles away.
There was an enormous firewall blast, something on the order of 15 megatons of equivalent energy, which is roughly 1,000 times that of the Hiroshima blast at the end of the Second World War. This was an extraordinary event.
Because of the remoteness of the Tunguska region, it was almost 20 years before any government researchers visited the site. The first expedition to reach Tunguska was headed by Russian mineralogist Leonid Kulik.
When the initial expedition got to the Tunguska area in 1927, the natives were reluctant to show the scientists into the region because they thought the god Agdi had devastated the area because of the wickedness that was going on, and he had destroyed the trees, killed the animals.
Kulik eventually convinced locals to direct him to the blast location. Believing a meteorite had caused the massive explosion, Kulik assumed he would find a crater at the point of the meteorite's impact. To his surprise, there was none. At the blast's epicenter was a frozen swamp with an untouched clump of fully grown trees in the middle. Circled around the grove, 10 million dead trees lay in a symmetrical ring, seemingly mowed down by a cosmic scythe.
So here we have an enormous blast site with no crater, no fragments or meteorites around the rim of the crater, and this radial pattern of burnt trees knocked down for some 20 miles in all directions. There were also some reports of mutations taking place in plant life, and even some humans apparently suffered some gene damage.
In 1947, Russian Army Colonel Alexander Kazantsev developed a remarkable theory based on information about the devastating consequences of America's atomic bomb attacks on Japan.
He
was listening to the report about the nuclear bombardment.
Well, we know that was fake, guys. A nuclear attack on Hiroshima, so let's discredit that part, but almost done
The
here.
announcer gave a very long and very detailed description of how and in which direction trees, houses had fallen, and so on. How everything was hit.
They were carpet bombs.
He realized that what had happened in Hiroshima, exactly the same happened at Tunguska, only nearly half a century ago.
Kazantsev hypothesized that the nuclear-like devastation seen at Tunguska must have been powered alien spacecraft. But the scientific community rebuffs the UFO theory. Scientists claim the Tunguska explosion was caused by a rare but explainable natural event.
Yes. That's true.
They believe an asteroid
No.
fell to just 3 miles above the Earth's surface
No.
and then exploded.
No. That's not what happened.
As the object came in, it was being decelerated and squeezed by atmospheric forces.
No, you're wrong, James.
The force of a hydrogen bomb.
No.
The shockwave smashed down the forest, knocking trees away from the blast and resulting in a pattern away from ground zero.
But how would an asteroid explosion explain the reports of radiation damage in the Tunguska area?
Aha!
Scientists say it can be attributed to the sheer magnitude of the explosion.
As we mentioned before, the blast itself was
Kind of.
1,000 times greater than the Hiroshima blast at the end of World War II. The blast would have generated a series of very high-speed charged particles that would have been the cause of some of the mutations in the gene structures of the plants and animals.
Okay, let's stop right there. High speeds, the charged particles cause mutations. Okay. Are you guys familiar with cavitation? Cavitation. Cracking of quiescent cavitation. Let's watch this really quick here. This guy's just pounding on a glass bottle with his hand. Okay. To determine the cause of the breaking bottle, we pair a high-speed video. Okay. Put an accelerometer there at the bottom. The hammer strike does not break the bottle. Instead, cavitation collapse breaks the bottle. Okay, a cavitation collapse. Now, I'm not an expert on cavitation, but what I have learned is that cavitation is responsible, especially catastrophic cavitation like what happened during the flood, responsible for the transmutation of elements. It's also responsible for the accelerated radioactive decay. So we have this radioactive decay. So when this crash of ice came down, crashing down to the ground, it created this cavitation, acceleration of radioactive decay. It also created sonoluminescence, which probably burnt the trees. But there's no meteor crater, right, guys? There's no meteor crater. So Jason brought this up. He was talking about it. All trees were flattened. Nothing burnt. Okay, well, he says nothing was burnt. No origin of impact. No evidence of iron anywhere. Sky burst pattern to the ground. So, you know, you're in the concave earth here, guys. There's definitely a glass sky and with ice attached to it. Now that ice is transparent at that level because that level is very cold. It's extremely cold. It's above the mesopause. So it gets to minus 226 degrees Fahrenheit. But, just my dry eraser here. A patch of ice, you know, let's say just like this section of ice here, just came falling down, came crashing down, bam. So let's move this. Move that ice down, bam. So when that crashes like that, it creates this cavitation and also this kind of well where the center is kind of unharmed, and then the trees go outward like that. If you've been studying up on megacry meteors, how they fall, even just one like 20-pound megacry meteor is going to sound like a missile fell to the ground. So people heard this from 1,000 miles away. So the trees get flattened like that. Okay, what we see in the middle is a lake with ice chunks. Okay, whether or not those ice chunks were already there from the ground or whether or not they actually fell from the glass sky. This is the answer to the Tunguska event. It was not a meteor. It was not an alien spaceship. It was a patch of the ice sky that was connected to the glass sky that fell down a long time ago. There's no other option. There's no other explanation. And so over time, this actually healed back together, so a new form of ice. So this ice is transparent at this level here. It only gets translucent when it enters into the troposphere. That's when the crystallization happens. So you got crystallizing going on over here. So it's solved. See, once again, I have to sound like a broken record. Once you understand the concave earth, the glass sky, the ice attached to the glass sky, all these mysteries just come right into place. Tunguska was solved.
Nobody actually knows what the firmament is. Could it be glass? Could it be ice? Could it be electromagnet waves? We just don't know. But let's hear again what the locals had to think about the situation in Tunguska.
When the initial expedition got to the Tunguska area in 1927, the natives were reluctant to show the scientists into the region because they thought the god Agdi had devastated the area because of the wickedness that was going on, and he had destroyed the trees, killed the animals. He had devastated the area because of the wickedness that was going on, and he had devastated the area because of the wickedness that was going on. And
could it be they had their own mini rapture? Their own mini flood? The circled trees in the middle, a safe spot for the people who weren't evil. Even if it was ice filled up, that cracked off and fell to the surface of the earth, that would be pretty devastating. And when you think about it, ice is water. It wouldn't surprise me to find ice all the way up there. It seems to me the higher you go, the colder it gets. I shouldn't forget to mention that the sun is much smaller than we've been led to believe, traveling around its circular course over the flat Earth. And what if that's the cause of shooting stars? Pieces of ice breaking off from the firmament, shooting towards the surface of the Earth? Just one of those questions, hopefully, you'll find the answer to. Thanks for watching. Before you go, I've got one more question. Why is the History Channel showing television shows about aliens and UFOs?